Hi! Good afternoon, and welcome to Rooftop Trombone Recital. My name is Don, and I'm the guy that that retired from rooftop trombone in the age of COVID-19, because I don't have a rooftop I can get out on now. So great of you to come out this afternoon. Welcome, come on in. Just a very quick background for anybody who, quite a few of you maybe have no idea what I'm talking about. My wife and I just moved back here last month after 4.5 years in Malaysia. And when the pandemic hit in Malaysia back in March of 2020, a year and a half ago, just even a few weeks earlier, there had been all this news about people in Italy, which had one of the worst pandemics there at the beginning of March, about people out on their balconies singing and their neighbors and all this. And my wife and I lived in a condo. That's Donna right there, my wife. Donna and I lived in this condo on the top floor, and we had access to a rooftop as well as 2 balconies. And so I decided, of course they announced that the lockdown would be 2 weeks. And I thought, I can play trombone for 2 weeks, every day for 2 weeks, and you know, there's lockdowns going on and off ever since. Sorry, I should have zipped that up when I wasn't playing. This is my COVID mask. Anyway, so I went out the very first day of the lockdown in Malaysia, which was March the 18th, when Donna, by the way, was stuck in Tokyo and couldn't get back into the country and didn't for another 4 months, almost 4 months, 3.5 months. She got back on the day that I ended the first series of rooftop trombone, which was 106 days in a row. Anyway, I have to remember to unzip. Sorry. So I wanted to play somebody for that. Over the year and a half that I did this, it was about 200, I added them up, it was close to 290 performances streamed over Facebook. And some of it was original music that I composed, some of it was music I composed years ago, some of it was a lot of jazz tunes that I just played some background music, and also some pop music that I played karaoke with. But what I wanted to do since then was I picked out some of the original things that I composed during the lockdown, and I wanted to play 5 of those for you today. This first one is called Lockdown Blues. Oh, I need to cue up the... Come on. Oh, that probably went to sleep. That's okay. We always have a backup. Come on. We have several backups. There it is. Lockdown Blues. Turn this back on. Oh, I see a light. It should be on. Okay, it's working. Oh, I got the Lockdown Blues. So this is a piece I wrote in the very first week of the lockdown back in March of 2020. At the time, it only had 2 verses of lyrics. A year later or so, I added a 3rd verse that has to do with using Zoom, because we're all so tired of Zoom. Anyway, I hope you enjoy this. It's called Lockdown Blues. And keep in mind, this whole lockdown, nobody could come over and play with me. It was just me, and she was out of the country. So it was, it's entirely trombone alone. So I said lyrics, you'll see. Oh, I got the Lockdown Blues. Just so tired of the news. Need to put on my shoes and go out. Oh, I got the Lockdown Blues. Nothing left for me to lose. Need a great big bottle of booze or I'll shout. Oh, Oh my gosh, the lockdown blues. One more Zoom, I'll blow my fuse. Soon my brain will start to ooze. I'm worn out. Thank you. That's lockdown blues. If you'll excuse me, I need to go change horns. I have two different trombones back here. Which one is the door? This one. No, this one. Okay. I need to tell you a story about lockdown blues. The first time I did that, whatever day that was, March 20th or something, 25th, I tried to use prompts. So keep in mind, I'm on a phone camera, sending over Facebook, playing trombone. I didn't have it memorized at the time. So I'm watching this, and I've got a shoe and a bottle of booze, an empty bottle of booze. I didn't want to break anything. Beside me, and I'm trying to, need a great big bottle. I didn't have enough hands. It didn't work very well. So no more props. Besides, I don't think we're allowed to have even an empty bottle of booze on this campus. I don't know. Anyway, this next one, I think I mentioned in the program notes. This is called Trombone Rhymes. And it's the same text, the same lyrics as a composition I did, I'm guessing 14 or 15 years ago when I lived here in Huntsville. It was I called it Silly Rhymes at the time, and it was a piece for soprano and piano with these silly rhymes that I had written that are meant to be nursery rhymes for children. And out of breath from trying to find the door. That piece has worked out. It's been performed a number of times by a number of people. It's one of the few things I have that's actually been done over more times. So for years I thought I'd really like to do a version of that I could do by myself, just trombone and the words. And I worked on this for more than a year, a year and a half probably, trying to take the original melody that I had composed 15 years ago and work that in. And I finally gave up on that and wrote new melodies, new trombone part, completely different music. So this is basically the same lyrics, but completely different music, which is very common in classical music, by the way, as you know, probably. I hope you like it. And I don't sing. It's about like what you just now heard. But this one, also for a number of years, I've been very interested in audience participation. And so there are two pieces today where I'm going to ask you to participate. And I should have already told you about one of them, because you need to do some prep work. And you can do that not during this one, because you need to participate on this one. We'll talk about it when we get there. This is the way this works. The participation I'm looking for is the first time through the lyrics, I will speak the lyrics. And then the second time you speak the lyrics with me. We do it together. And then I go on to the next section, and the punchline at the end is just me, because I'm a punchline hog. Trombone Rhymes. The first one is called Merle the Squirrel, and you'll see how it works. This first one, we actually have two different sections that are repeated. So I'll give you the first half, the second little bit, and then I do the third bit by myself. not curl. Together, the Earl of Burl was a squirrel named Merle, who had a bushy tail that would not curl. He did not care his tail was just a lump of hair. He did not care his tail was just a lump of hair. Until he met the girl squirrel, Pearl. You get the idea. This next one is a little bit hard. All of these are about a minute long, so you won't be here forever. Tony the Pony. Tony the Pony was one of those guys that was a little bit pretentious. He was full of himself, and he thought he was very special. And Joni was very crazy about Tony the Pony. She thought it was wonderful, but you'll see he was a little bit strange. Anyway, in this one, there's only one section that we repeat, but we do it several times, faster and faster and faster. You'll just follow me, you'll be fine. Tony the Pony. The accent of Tony the Pony was phony, and everyone knew it, but Joni. The accent of Tony the Pony was phony, and everyone knew it, but Joni. The accent of Tony the Pony was phony, and everyone knew it, but Joni. The accent of Tony the Pony was phony, and everyone knew it, but Joni. Who thought it was sweet when he said, "Would you care for a bite to eat?" But he only ever fed her bologna. Thank you. The next one is Monkey in the Zoo by the name of Bobby Sue, who had a conversation with her uncle. Oh, this one needs a blender. A monkey in the zoo by the name of Bobby Sue had an uncle of 102. A monkey in the zoo by the name of Bobby Sue had an uncle of 102. She asked him, "Does it hurt to be older than dirt and to be a monkey's uncle too?" Thank you. Number 4 in this set. Oh, I should have mentioned, by the way, these names have no bearing on real people. The first one, most of you don't know this, but my father-in-law's name was Merle, but it really was just a name that rhymed with an animal, as Donna rhymed with iguana. So Donna the iguana, she would never be in the same predicament as this Donna. My Donna would not. Anyway. Donna the iguana said that she was gonna get some sun and fun in Tijuana. Donna the iguana said that she was gonna get some sun and fun in Tijuana. But when she missed her flight, in the middle of the night, she knew she'd have to wait till mañana. Whee! Mask keeps getting in the way. Laura Bell the Gazelle is the name of this next one, but it really is about her friend. She has a friend that you'll hear about. And Laura Bell is a little bit concerned about her friend, and as you'll find out why here in a second. This one also uses a phone. Laura Bell, the Gazelle, wasn't feeling very well when she heard what her friend had to tell. Together, Laura Bell, the Gazelle, wasn't feeling very well when she heard what her friend had to tell. You know, I've been trying. Said Ryan the lion. An all red meat diet. Oh well. You see, that's trouble for Laura Bell because she's a gazelle. Yeah, you get that, right? Moving on, Claire, the final one. There are 6 of these. This is the last one. Claire the bear, who just had some trouble getting ready to leave the house one day. Claire the bear went up the stair to look for something that she could wear. Claire the bear went up the stair to look for something that she could wear. But she found nothing clean, and later was seen with her little bare bottom bare. And that's Claire the bear. Thank you. Those are the trombone rides. Moving on, I think we have 2 sonnets. This one I have to use music for. Same horn. Sorry, don't need to go anywhere. So, I think I told you the first, and if you followed all this, God bless you. I can't imagine anybody followed all of the Rooftop trombone recordings, not even my wife. But if you did and you know what I'm talking about, then forgive me for repeating it. But so the first lockdown lasted in Malaysia. First of all, we need to clarify what a lockdown is in the rest of the world, because it's not what people tell me happened here in the United States. When we had lockdowns in Malaysia, we had 4 in the time that, well, technically we had 3, but one was quasi-lockdown and I played anyway. But during the lockdown in Malaysia, everything is closed except food and healthcare. Everything. You're not allowed to have your office open or your store that sells blankets or whatever. All the stores were closed. There are police roadblocks that prevent you from going more than a couple miles to the nearest healthcare or food source. It's truly a lockdown, and a lot of the world had similar things. And maybe somebody in the United States did, but I haven't heard about it yet. Maybe in New York a little bit, but not much. Of course, it's so compact there. Anyway, so this first lockdown, like I said, 106 days, And it ended on the day that Donna got back in Malaysia. In fact, she came on, oh no, it ended the day after, that's right. She got back one day, and the next day she came out on the camera with me, and we stopped it at that point. And the lockdown was over, actually a week or two before that. The second lockdown happened in October. And we knew it was coming. Some friends of mine, well, a lot of people knew it was coming. It wasn't like we were smart. But one day I was at the university where I worked with a couple of friends, an associate dean. I was the dean of the School of Arts at this university in Malaysia. One of my associate deans and the provost. The three of us were having coffee one day and talking about this upcoming, one of them said, well, it's going to be another lockdown. You're going to have to do another rooftop trombone, aren't you? And I thought, maybe I should, but I don't want to do what I did for the first one because it took a lot of time to prepare each day. In fact, I probably was not as diligent with my real job as I should have been. Because a lot of it was karaoke with pop tunes. And if you know me, you know that's not ever been. These are tunes I'd never heard before in many cases. That everybody was requesting, and people in my apartment block, they finally dragged me down into the courtyard to play because at first I was worried they wouldn't like it, but they did like it. Anyway, for the second one, I decided I wanted to do something different that wasn't trombone karaoke over and over, and I couldn't keep writing music, I didn't have time. So I decided to do some, in fact, this was a suggestion from the provost, who is not a musician, by the way, he's a chemist, I believe. Or he used to be a chemist. I don't think he does much chemistry these days, as provosts are, He's a good friend, I shouldn't say that. But he suggested, why don't you do something with poetry and, some interdisciplinary kind of thing. And we came up with this idea that I would, in the first day I picked the first several days I picked the poetry, but I asked the people on Facebook who were watching to email me with the name of their favorite poem. Or an original poem if you have one. And as long as it was family friendly and short enough, I would improvise music to accompany the poem. And so I would play a little bit, then read the first several lines of the poem, then play some more, and back and forth like that. And that worked okay. I was a little apprehensive about, actually I thought it worked pretty well. And we did a different thing also, which you'll see after this. But I was a little apprehensive about it at first, and so I decided to compose something with a poem instead of improvising, and that's what this one was. But the rest of the poetry in that series was all improvised. Anyway, this one is a pair of Shakespeare sonnets. If you're familiar with the sonnets, they are number 65 and 97, which you can see the titles there in your program. And aside from it's not improvised, this is very similar to what I did the rest of the poetry nights. So here is sonnet number 65. Since brass nor stone, nor earth nor boundless sea, but sad mortality o'ersways their power, how with this rage shall beauty hold a plea, whose action is no stronger than a flower? Summer's honey breath hold out against the wreckful siege of battering days, when rocks impregnable are not so stout, nor gates of steel so strong, but time decays. Where, alack, shall time's best jewel from time's chest lie hid? Or what strong hand can hold his swift foot back? Or who his spoil of beauty can forbid? Oh, none, unless this miracle have might, that in black ink my love may still shine bright. Since we're small enough to be a seminar, a graduate school seminar, let's have a conversation about that. What is Shakespeare saying in that one? You weren't expecting that, were you? That's more audience participation. Normally I would tell you that beforehand, but I forgot. But I think, and I've read other scholars who have talked about it, that this is a time when Shakespeare was concerned about his mortality, and how any of us survive the wrath of time. And the last two lines really give it away. Maybe in his black ink that he's written, maybe will make him immortal. And of course it has in Shakespeare's case. I can say we all worry about the same thing. I'm not sure we'll all be as successful as Billy. Anyway, this next one is number 97, How Like a Winter Hath My Absence Been. And this one really is about longing for a loved one who's away. And I picked it because of that, because once again, at the beginning of the second lockdown, Donna was in the United States. And it was a family emergency and all that. But anyway, so this one was for Donna. How like a winter hath my absence been from thee, the pleasure of the fleeting year. What freezings have I felt, what dark days seen, what old December's barrenness everywhere. And yet, this time removed was summer's time, the teeming autumn big with rich increase, bearing the wanton burden of the prime, like widowed wombs after their lord's decease. Yet this abundant issue seemed to me but hope of orphans and unfathered fruit. For summer and his pleasures wait on thee, and thou away, the very birds are mute. Or if they sing, 'tis with so dull a cheer that leaves look pale, dreading the winter's near. Thank you. This next one is the one I meant to tell you about at the very beginning because it requires some prep work from you, but it only take a minute at the most. You can do it while I'm talking. This was the other part of that second lockdown series. I did improvisatory images and improvisatory poetry. And in the case of the images, I asked people to email me images that from their phone, from their computer, whatever, as long as they're family friendly. And I had a friend, that associate dean I mentioned, he was tasked with, because he was my associate dean, he had to do this, His task was to take 10 of those images and put them in some random order without me seeing them. And then, so I see them the same time you see them, and I improvise a little bit different for each one. It's 20 seconds on each photo for 10 photos, so it's 3.5 minutes altogether. But for this to work, you need to take out your phones. You know how they always say take out your phones and turn them off? Turn your phone on right now. If you have and I need at least 10, and it'll only choose 10. So if you send one and it doesn't get chosen, it's because 10 other people were randomly ahead of you. But when I press this load images button, if you send, I should have put the email address up there. It's lockdowndon@outlook.com. If you'll just pick 10 photos off your phone, if you or 1 or 2, and just send them to lockdowndon@outlook.com. And if I press this button right now, it's going to say there aren't 10 images. But we're going to wait a little bit until there are 10 images, and then we'll all see these images at the same time. So Lockdown Don, all one word, Lockdown Don. It's in your program. Lockdowndon@outlook.com. And I do have a backup plan. I have a folder of about 20 images that I can grab if you guys let me down. But come on, it'll be more fun if we use your pictures. In the meantime, what else can I tell you? Halloween, I don't know. Donna, I got news today. People think that the trick-or-treaters are coming tonight. I don't know. Because we thought the trick-or-treaters were coming last night. My wife sent me off to buy candy because we have a niece in the neighborhood whose children, so great nieces and a great nephew, they're really great, were coming to see us after their trick-or-treating at some school. And so she told me they like Snickers and they like Butterfingers. So I bought a bunch of candy that I like, including those two. The 3 of them were the only trick-or-treaters we had last night.
Lockdown Don at what?
Lockdowndon@outlook.com. Outlook, O-U-T, like the program. Outlook.com. Yes, sir?
These concerts.
Yes.
They were on YouTube. Are they still on YouTube?
They are still on YouTube. They're also on my website.
Search for your name or Lockdown Trombone?
Just go to donbowyer.com, and they're all linked. The YouTubes are linked from my website.
Okay.
donbowyer.com. Too many addresses. So do we have 10 yet? All right.
Don, that returned twice to me.
It returned to you. It didn't go through?
Lockdowndon@outlook.com.
Uh-oh. Anybody else get an error message? It worked when I tested it earlier this week. All right, I have a different address. This is the actual address that goes into it. That address is one I created that forwards to there's a service. Let me explain all this because I found it interesting. If you're not a technology nerd, you won't hear about this, but I'm killing time now. There's a service called Email It In that I signed up for a couple weeks ago, and they give you a free address, and any email attachment that goes to that address gets put into the Dropbox folder or OneDrive folder or whatever, Google Drive folder, whatever you selected. And they gave me an address that actually was musical, but it didn't make sense. The address they gave me is Don, #1, flutist.
You should have at least one picture. We sent one.
I just sent.
And no, you didn't get an error back?
I didn't get an error.
Okay.
Don what?
Don 1, #1.
Oh, 1?
Don 1 flutist at emailit.com is the other address. But it should work with the first one. Lockdown Don. No, I'm sorry. Look at your program. It's not lockdown, is it? It's trombonedon@outlook.com. That's why it didn't work. It's right in your program. Mea culpa. Sorry. It's it's trombonedon@outlook.com. I am so sorry. If you could send those again to trombonedon, I would appreciate it. I'm a knucklehead.
Knucklehead, where is this in the program?
In the program notes, under this piece, it's the insert in your program.
Trombone Don at outlook.com.
that one should do it. I'm so sorry. And again, I'm trusting all of you to send only family-friendly pictures. Because I'll see them when you see them.
I think everybody in here is an adult anyway.
I think so. Oh, you mean if they're not family-friendly? Yeah.
Trombone Don at Outlook.com.
TromboneDon@outlook.com. Yeah, I don't know where that lockdown came from. Sorry. Any success yet? Okay. Okay. Feel free to send 2 or 3 because we need to get 10. Excellent. If you sent 10, then we'll have enough. Excellent. And like I say, the power, it's some programming I put into PowerPoint. It'll randomly select 10 of them. If it didn't select yours, it's not my fault. It's PowerPoint's fault. Okay. Ready to go?
There it is. What's in it? Oh, good.
Okay, ready to go then? Anybody still typing?
Not typing, it's sending.
Oh, still sending. Okay. We'll go another minute. Another half a minute.
Okay, I'm sorry. You know any jokes?
I do, but usually you won't let me tell them. Usually. Okay, is that good? Can we go on now? Let's see if there are 10. Oh, there are not 10. Come on, we need a couple more probably. Let me look, actually, without a keyboard, I can't get out to look at that.
Yeah, do another picture.
Can you refresh from there?
Yes, every time I press, it counts to see if there are 10.
Okay. I sent a whole, how many do you have?
Well, I don't know. I can find out, I guess. All right, this is gonna.
This one.
What is it?
So it's a Native American artifact. Put artifacts in it. Okay. It is trombone, capital D for Don, is it?
It doesn't matter if it's capital D or lowercase.
Outlook.com.
Okay.
Yeah, that's right. I just realized.
Just artifact. ARTIFACT.
Okay, there are 1, 2, 3, 4 images there right now.
Hey, don't bother them.
Something called September Snow and some others that are just numbered. And like I said, I can drag 6 out of another folder if I need to. But it'd be more fun if it's your photos. I can show you, I just was going to do this after this piece, but I'll do it right now. If you don't already know about it, there's a new organization getting ready to start here in Huntsville. It's called Rocket City New Music. It's an organization, think of Huntsville Chamber Music Guild in the early years. It's a similar type thing, except it's going to be focused on contemporary classical music. So music by living composers. And they have an event next Saturday at the airport of all places, in an airport hangar at the airport, if you ever wanted to go to one of those, at Evolution, next Saturday at 8 o'clock. But in order to go, you need to go to their website and request an invitation. It's free. There's no charge. The invitations are free, but they just need to count, it's an airport. RocketCityNewMusic.org will get you there. Anytime in the next 5-6 days. It's next Saturday. It's a week from, what today is? Is today Sunday? Yeah, it's a week from last night, the 6th. And, I'm sorry?
Who's organizing it?
It's the principal percussionist from the Huntsville Symphony, Sean Rittenauer. And he's been talking this up and working on it for a number of months now. I was just lucky to hear about it. Royce, there's Royce, forwarded me an email about it a month or so ago, and it's when I first heard about it. And I think it's going to be very exciting. The idea is not to have a lot of concerts, but to have a few every year that are really, that kind of put new music in Huntsville on the map for new music aficionados. The goal is for it to be a destination kind of of series, that people will come here from elsewhere to hear this music. So anyway, I hope you can make it to that. Let's go back and see, we're up to 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 8. I've got 8 now. 2 more, come on, 2 more. Anybody, 2 more. They didn't get there yet, apparently. Shall I drag 2 of mine in there?
Drag two of you.
So we can go ahead. Well, now see, I'm looking at them, so that's not good. But I'll at least choose, I need a mouse.
That's because those are his pictures.
Copy. Not letting me copy, all right. Okay. Okay, well, technology, it always fails when you need it. Okay, let's get back into that program now and see if it gets 10. That seems like a good news to me. Shall we continue? Improvisatory images. Oh, thank you for those images. Thank you, thank you. Sorry about that last one. I don't know why it didn't spread out like the others did. Sorry about that. That was fun. What was who sat in the second one? What was that like on the water?
No, well, I don't think so. I sent in one of the scraper from Native Americans about 10,000 years old.
Oh, it was like it was a tool.
They used it to scrape rawhide.
How very cool. Well, I didn't improvise well on that because I didn't know what it was. I'm sorry. Anyway, when I did that in the lockdown, it was photos that people had sent prior to me going on stage, by the way. So we didn't have those delays. Anyway, the last piece I want to play for you today is called, well, it's a set of pieces. This was the third lockdown, which was in January. And as always, they said it was going to be 14 days and then it extended. But, and I knew it was going to extend, but still, I committed. I decided, at that time I had a little bit more free flexibility in my schedule, and I decided I would compose a short miniature piece, about a minute long, for trombone every day, once a day for 14 days. And if the lockdown went beyond 14 days, I would do something else, and I did, all kinds of other stuff. But for the first 14 days, I wrote a new piece every morning, practiced it that afternoon, and then played it that night, and then started all over for the next day for 14 days. I'm not going to do all 14 of them now because a couple of them I don't want to do now because they're timely. One of them was on Burns night, and I had a Scottish friend who insisted that I do a Robert Burns poem, which I did, with a very bad Scottish accent. The other one was on Inauguration Day, and I did something political on that day in January. But anyway, there are 14 of them. I've selected 6 to do today that have some meaning for me, and I hope you enjoy them. It's the first 4 plus 2 near the end. Well, you can see them there. This first one is called, is lockdown number 1. This was the first night of, what day was this? 13th of January, this year. And I hope you like it. It's called Here We Go Again because, you know, it's another lockdown, my third rooftop trombone. Subtitled Out of Touch, because it's, you know, that to me, that's been one of the big things about this pandemic is how it's cut us off from each other. And being in another country, it maybe was even amplified for me, I don't know, because I was really cut off from friends and family here. So this one's called Out of Touch. Number 3 in this set. This one actually has some lyrics to it, but I didn't put them on the screen because I don't think they're that important. But this is a sort of a meant to be amusing little piece called In the Lockdown. You know, downtown is a ghost town in the lockdown. There's no Motown playing uptown in the lockdown. So pipe down and cool down in the lockdown. In the lockdown, lockdown, lockdown. Feeling run down, gonna lie down in the lockdown. Leave your meltdown on the playground in the lockdown. So settle down, no ball gown in the lockdown. In the lockdown, lockdown, lockdown. Thank you. Did I mention I had to do these very quickly each morning? So that was kind of a throwaway to... took longer to come up with rhymes than anything else. Anyway, this next one is a lot more serious, I hope. I hope you think so. I need to... What is that doing over there? Anyway, this next one is called Loss. It was me thinking about all the people we've lost, and this is really dedicated to any of you, anyone else anywhere, who has lost a loved one during this pandemic. And I know that many of us have. Well, we all have. I don't need to get personal right now. So this is called Loss, dedicated to everyone who's lost a loved one. last two. This is skipping near to the end of the miniatures. This is number 12. Bonkers. It's called Bonkers. It really probably should be called Going Bonkers because it's me going bonkers. If I'm not mistaken, Donna, were you out of town for this series also? She's not going to speak. I think she was, but I'm not sure. Anyway, I was going bonkers. And the final lockdown miniature, which, I was going to look something up and I forgot to. Anyway, this was the last of the set, and it harkens back a little bit to number 4 that was about loss. This one, I borrowed 2 melodies from a composition I wrote in the, I don't know, probably 15 or 18 years ago, when my grandmother passed away. I composed a trombone requiem for 6 trombones that we did some 6 months or so after my grandmother passed away. Anyway, I call this Eternal Rest. This borrows from a couple of the melodies from the very end of that requiem mass. Thanks. Thank you. Thank you so much for coming out.